Everyone, for Market Mints today, we're going to look at Mara stock. So I always like to do three things. We'll look at the latest earnings, which is kind of their fundamentals. We'll look at their valuation, and then we'll look at other elements to consider. So check them out. Brief intro to them is that they are a Bitcoin miner, and they got a flashy earnings here. I'd never seen this before. Yeah, look at this. They're giving all their kind of summary here. Yeah, wow. Okay, I'm looking for what I normally see, which I'm not seeing any of that yet. Look at this, blocks mined. Here's their revenues. Okay, wow, look at this. I got PowerPoint. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. So, let's see. Revenues went down, if not stayed about the same, and this is going to be all related to the Bitcoin price. So I'm not expecting this guy to be doing great right now. Doesn't mean that it's terrible. It might be terrible, but doesn't mean it's terrible based off of this revenue growth alone, just because this is related to the Bitcoin price. So then their costs and operating expenses. This is tricky because they're all rising. G&A, this is a book cost, so this is a big increase, but this is just a kind of a book cost on their assets. Look at this. That's the change in value of their digital assets. This is big right here. This line right here is all related to the Bitcoin price, which is why last year they had an operating income and this year they don't. So this is big. Lost a lot of value in their digital assets. Mara holds, I think they're the second largest Bitcoin holder institutionally, or besides Monster. So that's big. And then here's the derivatives, same thing. And then these are minor items. So yeah, big operating loss here. If Bitcoin had done better, they most likely still would have had a big operating loss. Like if I swap this number, let's just pretend that the fair value. Let's just do a little test here. Let's pretend that their total costs, 8, it's 9. Let's take away take that away. So, and then let's take away another 2, 9, 1, 8. So even if I basically made this change in fair value another kind of negative 440 thousand million, they still would have an operating loss, even if Bitcoin appreciated in price. So that's not great. Okay. And then here's some other items. This is their receivable. So this is basically the Bitcoins that they mined. That's more loss. And then we're going to add this number to that, and you're sitting at a very big loss. So not a great quarter for them. This was released in February. So with that, and here's their adjusted EBITDA. With that, we're going to want to go ahead and look at their balance sheet, since they are definitely struggling right now. Where is their balance sheet? I want to see. their balance sheet. This is a very different kind of earnings. I'm not seeing it presented like this. But yeah, that's their earnings right here, but I'm not seeing a balance sheet on here. Maybe they'll have it here. If not, we can just see it. I'll just have ChatGPT pull it up for us. Uh, how, and the main thing I want to know is how much cash on hand does stock. And there's another way we could also, I bet if we're going back a little bit farther, but if we were to go look at September 30th, um, yeah, this is more normal. This is what I'm used. So this is a little more dated, and we'll check to see what ChatGPT says, but their current assets, they're sitting on about a billion. And most of that billion is just cash on hand. Now they also have 4 billion of Bitcoin that they're sitting on, so they have plenty of money. But yeah, let's see. Yep, here's 826. This is as of September. It hasn't taken into account the latest earnings, and then this is how much they have on hand. Now here's another question: how much Bitcoin does Mara? Okay, so that's a lot of Bitcoin. So that's yeah, so they have plenty of money. Um, but just as Bitcoin's going down, you can see with what we just looked at, their operations are not sustainable. So there's kind of their fundamentals. Let's look at their valuation next. So they have a market cap of 3.26 billion, which that is less than their total Bitcoin holdings and cash holdings, but I bet that's because they have a lot of debt. How much debt does Mara stock? Yeah, there you go. So they have a lot of debt, and most of it's long term. What is their net cash position? Um, yeah, but include the Bitcoin. There we go. So they have a 1.6 net Bitcoin position. So remember that when looking at this. So this is giving them almost a $2 billion premium. Um, so so basically $2 billion premium, and then we saw their latest earnings where right now they're burning a lot of money mainly because the fair value of Bitcoin has been going down. Um, so So there you go. This is showing their PE ratio for what it's worth. But what this stock really comes down to is, what do we think is going to happen to Bitcoin? I've seen all kinds of stuff saying that it's going to keep crashing till September or October. Other theories it's going to 300K. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know the answer to that. I'm just looking at Mara, and I know that that's kind of where their valuation is you're giving them over $3 billion market cap for a company that has a net cash position, including their Bitcoin holdings of 1.6 billion. So now we'll look at other things to consider. So the reason why it was trending today, and the reason why a lot of people were paying attention to it, is because they announced that they're selling their Bitcoin to pay off some debt. Which is interesting, the market reacted positively to this. Yeah, today was a very bad day in the market. SPY down almost 2%. Very bad day in the market, but Mara was green on this news. Um, I don't know if I know there's some Bitcoin maximalists that really don't like this. Yeah, here you can see sells over 1 billion Bitcoin. Um, so that's kind of tricky, and they use that when they sold that Bitcoin, they use it to buy back convertible notes, and kind of pay back their debt. And those convertible notes we've talked about before are people that have the option to convert their debt to equity into Mara, and so they instead of that happening now, Mara has bought that debt back. So that's kind of other things. Now, there's other kind of Bitcoin miners that have pivoted into AI plays. Cypher is one, and IREN, and there's speculation that Mara could do that as well, but they, have not really pivoted heavily into that yet. But Mara does have a massive Bitcoin position. Even after selling this 1 billion of Bitcoin, they still have a ton of Bitcoin. So, in a lot of ways, this is still very much a play on Bitcoin. So, go back and forth. If you're holding this, I hope it goes up for you. I hope it moons. The bull thesis is still there. If Bitcoin works out, they still have a massive amount of Bitcoin. They still have a lot of infrastructure, still a big miner, still all those things. And then the bears are going to have all their thesis about the market cap premium, the Bitcoin bears, and those sorts of things. So, but there you go. There's your Mara news today.